Welcome to Indiana Outdoor Adventures. This is the first time that I've actually taken my drone up to this level and did some flying around. We were at a local park yesterday and I decided to go ahead and use the opportunity to get some footage for the first time. This is also the first time that I've recorded video with the drone. And this is William H. Graham Park, and I'm flying over Lake Iola. And yes, it's got a lot of algae and is quite green right now. Going over to the west side of the lake, you can see the train depot down in the bottom left corner, and at the top, almost center, now center of the frame, I'm going to head over to what is known as the Old Corn Factory. I can give a little bit of history on this building. It's basically an abandoned ruins now. I'm not exactly sure who owns it, if it's the city or if it's a private individual, but we've always thought here that it would be nice if they would tear this all down and do something constructive with it other than just having a huge eyesore on the face of the city. I understand that it's a historical area, but look at it. I mean, it's got trees growing up through it, and it's falling apart. I've been inside this building several times. There's a concrete floor and whatnot. But you see the fountain in the middle of the lake here. You also see the overflows, the dark green spots. Um, People do a lot of fishing here, just recreation type stuff. But the fountain's pretty cool. I'm flying back over to where I took off from. If you look here, about the center, I'm actually back here in the park flying from a picnic table. This is the playground with swing sets and some playground equipment. A lot of it is actually from the old McDonald's restaurant that was here. You can see my Jeep and my wife's Jeep and other vehicles parked there in the lot. Again, I'm still learning how to properly fly or really do a whole lot of anything with this drone other than just kind of move around and take video. Here I had gotten down close to the water and kind of wanted to do a spiraling up and away from the water shot. You can see how dingy the water looks when you're a lot closer to it. There's a lot of stuff floating in this water right now. But now that I'm getting you all dizzy and you're spinning out of control and going up, we can take another look around the park. You see the railroad tracks over here. We've had, believe it or not, a couple of small train derailments over the course of the years, but nothing that wasn't cleaned up really quick, and no chemical spills or anything like that from it. They have a nice community building here that can be rented out for all types of private events. A long time ago, whenever I was into playing music, bands would rent that building out and put on small concerts there. So let's follow along to the north along the railroad tracks here just a bit. Take a look around in the woods, in the forested areas. If you hear fans running in the background, I also have 3D printers set up in my office. They are not running right now. I've got them paused just so that the noise doesn't bleed over everything. But anyway, this is another look at a part of the city. You can see the traffic moving along the highway and apartments. This is over around, I believe, 5th Street. And that is more toward the center of town, south of the park. If you look up toward the top of the screen. I absolutely love these views here. The horizon views. Like, I want to go higher, but this is the limit of what we can legally fly a drone. And this is toward the east of town, east and southeast. East and southeast section of this part of town, which is actually the, like, if you separated into quadrants from the highway intersection, this would be the northeast quadrant of the middle of the city. Just kind of moving around a little bit and getting back over toward the western side of the lake. And I'll come back up and around toward where we're all sitting. Like, my wife and I brought our daughter out to play in the park with my grandniece, my niece's daughter, and let her have some fun. And I do have the drone in the safest flying mode that you can put it in, so that it's more stable, and the speed, like, you don't have the full speed or anything in this setting. This is a DJI Mini 4 Pro. Now, I had brought it back. At this point, I had brought it all the way back and stopped recording and decided to go get more footage of the corn factory. Again, just kind of flying around and getting a feel for the controls in the higher altitude and further distance than what I was used to. I think the max altitude I had flown it before this was maybe 100 feet, and the distance was pretty short. I had only flown it at my home. But you can see how this is basically just the ruins of an old factory or an old production facility. And they processed a lot of corn. Indiana, of course, is known for corn, and that was a pretty big industry at that point in time. Still is, just not in exactly the same ways. Again, facing the southern part of the quadrant of town, you can see one of the water towers there in front of us. Such a beautiful sky, too. That's one of the great things about getting photos and video from all the way up here. And you can see how flat the land is here in this part of Indiana. Off in the distance, you can see the hills. It's like a giant valley. I mean, this is the Ohio Valley, the Ohio River Valley. And I'm just kind of looking around, flying away from where I took off, away from where I'm physically sitting. This is all really new and cool to me, flying a drone and taking video. And this is actually the first time that I'm watching the video after filming it. I'm going to head back north along the railroad tracks. I'd like to take a look at this section of this forested area here, uh, a little bit of a closer look, just to see what all's in there. I don't know who owns this, or if it's maybe city property, what. But there's another road you can see in the top right hand corner, and actually the very top of the screen right now you can actually see the pavement and traffic moving. This goes out into the bottoms. We have a lot of marshland here, and out past the fields is where you start to get into that marshland. We also have several DNR areas in the county we live in. You see a creek in the middle of the screen. I believe that's a creek. Now at this point, my battery is getting just a little bit low, so I am making my way back to the park. I went a lot farther north than what I thought I was going to. You can see the lake in the middle of the screen and see how far away I am from it at this point. The idea that I had was I was going to come up from behind and land right back where we are sitting. This is around the time that I had changed my mind a little bit and decided that I was going to make one more pass out over the lake and come back in from the front. Now, at this point, the drone reached, I think, about 20% battery, and the return to home took over. So it was going to return itself to the home point and land. And I kind of panicked because I panicked and forgot that I needed to turn off return to home. And here's where things kind of went south. Yeah, here we go. It's trying to plot its way down through the trees. And if I had just left it alone, maybe it would have been okay, but this is where things went bad. And my first crash. Yeah, not good.